In our objective ranking of top ERP systems in the marketplace, NetSuite scores very well in that ranking. But is it scalable for larger organizations? I'm going to answer that question here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients through their digital transformation journeys. And when we're working with our small and mid-market clients, NetSuite is a common product that's evaluated and considered, in many cases implemented, for those organizations. But a question we get with a lot of our larger clients is, can NetSuite scale for the complex global needs of larger multinational organizations? And the answer to that is it depends. It depends on what you mean by scale and what kind of criteria we're using to define scale. So I want to define that a little bit more here in today's video. So the first thing we need to do is define, what does scale mean? What does it mean to be scalable? Back in the day, 20 years ago, it used to mean, can my ERP system handle a high volume of transactions? If I have a lot of orders, or I'm doing a bunch of transactions, POs, or whatever the case may be, can my system support that level of transaction volume and the data volume that goes along with that? Nowadays, scalability means a lot of different things to different organizations. It can certainly mean scalability of transactions, although most ERP systems today can handle larger volumes than they could 10 or 20 years ago. But nowadays, it can mean things like, how robust or how broad is my ERP system? Can it provide broad capabilities that my organization can grow into as we scale and grow and acquire new customers and enter new markets? So the broad capabilities or breadth of capabilities can be one definition of scale. Another definition of scale might be flexibility. As we grow, we enter new markets, is my ERP software flexible? Does it allow me to change, to adapt to new customers, new markets, new products, new services, whatever the case may be? Those are all possible definitions of scale. So the first thing we need to do, even though it's a commonly used word, this whole concept of scalability, is define, what does scalability mean for our organization? So that's the first step. One of the big considerations when evaluating the scalability of NetSuite, or any other product for that matter, is the maturity and scalability of the solution. So for many organizations, they want to know that the product they're implementing has been implemented by other organizations. It's been tried and true. A lot of R&D dollars and testing dollars have gone into that solution, and they know it's going to work, and they're not on the bleeding edge of new technology. In the case of NetSuite, it has the advantage of having been one of the first native SaaS or cloud ERP solutions back when it was developed over 20 years ago. So when you compare NetSuite to, say, a Oracle ERP or an SAP S/4HANA, Microsoft Dynamics 365, or any host of other ERP systems out there, NetSuite is actually much more mature in that way. You look at SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, for example, they're all trying to play catch up with NetSuite by trying to figure out how they can move all their legacy functionality that they've invested millions, if not billions of dollars over the years. How are they going to migrate that functionality over to the cloud and create the same level of capacity and capability and sophistication that their legacy products used to have? NetSuite, on the other hand, they're already in the cloud, and every dollar they've spent on R&D for the most part over the years is still there today, and they've just been building on that maturity over the years. So when we look at maturity in terms of scalability, NetSuite absolutely has the maturity and the capabilities to be able to support a larger organization. For many organizations, especially multinational, conglomerate types of organizations that have a diverse product service offering or that have diverse customers, broad capabilities is one of the biggest definitions of scalability. So for example, a large multinational conglomerate that works in multiple regions of the world, that offers multiple products and services that are completely unrelated, they need a very broad set of capabilities in terms of scalability in order to be able to scale and continue their growth and to achieve their objectives as an organization. Now this is where NetSuite can be a little bit constrained. When we deal with complex manufacturing organizations, for example, we find that NetSuite doesn't quite have the capabilities in manufacturing to support the more complex, bigger manufacturing organizations. Now that's changing slowly over time, and they're certainly better now than they were 10 or 20 years ago, but that's an example of an area that NetSuite isn't quite as strong as some of its counterparts. And that's why for some organizations, when they think about scalability If they're a large multinational manufacturing organization, for example, they may lean more towards an SAP or an Oracle because those products are so broad and so diverse that they can handle the diverse needs of those organizations. For many organizations, flexibility is the gold standard when it comes to scalability. Can we adapt to our changing markets as we enter new markets or expand our product lines? Can our systems change to keep up with our business? And so if your definition of scale is the level of flexibility, that's where NetSuite sometimes can be at a disadvantage compared to other systems out there. So for example, if we look at Microsoft Dynamics 365, that's a product that is generally a bit more flexible in terms of changing workflows and changing functionality. Although you can do it in NetSuite, generally Microsoft Dynamics provides more capability to be able to change the workflows or change the capabilities in the software. The same goes for Oracle ERP Cloud. So those are the types of things we need to think about is while we're getting maturity and a stable cloud solution on one hand, and it's a software as a service solution on one hand in NetSuite, we are trading off some flexibility in some cases. So we can personalize the software still in the case of NetSuite, but it isn't as robust as some of the other solutions out there in the marketplace in terms of changing the software. For many organizations and leadership teams at the organizations, they know that they can't scale without analytics and business intelligence to give them visibility and transparency into what their business is actually doing and the results of the business. And this is an area where NetSuite excels. They have very solid dashboards because it's a unified SaaS or cloud solution that's been in the cloud forever since the software was started. It has very strong business intelligence and reporting capabilities. So when it comes to this definition of scalability, NetSuite is absolutely a strong choice for organizations that value that. And finally, many organizations define flexibility in terms of how much do we have to spend and invest in our internal IT competencies to be able to support this product longer term. In the case of NetSuite, it's relatively easy to use when compared to some other solutions that require specialized programming language or development language. So from that perspective, it can actually reduce your internal IT cost. When we think about IT support, we also have to think about infrastructure. What sort of infrastructure do we need to support the product, not just organizationally, but also physically? Do we need a bunch of servers and data centers to support the product? And if the answer that you're looking for is no, you don't want that sort of overhead within your organization, then NetSuite can be a great answer for you. Again, because it's a cloud-based solution, it doesn't require the data centers and the servers and all the stuff that you might have required with your on-premise legacy ERP software. So if your definition of scale is how do we grow the company without adding dollar for dollar more IT staff as we grow, NetSuite is absolutely a good choice in that regard. So just like any software decision that needs to be made, there's no clear one-size-fits-all answer. There are some strengths to NetSuite, there are some disadvantages, and we've actually included a link below that provides a review of NetSuite if you'd like to learn more about some of the additional pros and cons. But hopefully this gives you a sense of if we're looking for scalability, if we're a larger organization, is NetSuite the right choice for us? I hope this has given you some direction. If you're looking for additional guidance, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help bounce around ideas and brainstorm with you on whether or not this might be a good fit. I've also included a link to our 2020 ERP report, which includes a ranking of the top systems as well as other best practices. So I encourage you to either download that and feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to brainstorm additional ideas beyond that. So I hope this information has been helpful. Hope you have a great day.